and to say that, boss, you can do it. I can see it, that it is there in your potential. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, then you can work 24 hours a day. It will not even look like work. If I talk of my father's father, when after partition, he had to struggle. He had to start life at the age of 40, setting up the shop after the breakup within the family at the age of 40, and set the whole business up. Again, I'm grateful and thankful to God for making me who I am. But if we need to be happy in our lives, we need to see people around us happy.
Hello and welcome to Tea Talkers podcast. 2017, when we started with this Tea Talkers concept, there were a lot of people who did not understand what we actually do. There were a lot of questions that came in our mind. There were a lot of emails we received. There were a lot of WhatsApp messages that we received. What exactly we do? Why do we meet people in cafes? But that's again something which we always wanted to do, because while into corporate training, while into behavioral training, as a behavioral coach, I understood that a lot of people who do not disclose their problems in a training session. There are a lot of times when people don't come up with their original issues during a conference room of their office. And in the end of the training, they take my number and ask me, sir, can I call you after some days? I'm having some problem, maybe with me, my wife, my children. So we understood that people are actually bogged up with a lot of stress. But the good part is that stress is manageable. And that is why Tea Talkers was born. 2025, today, Tea Talkers have gone really far. We started with a passion, but this passion has become a responsibility for us. When I started interacting with a lot of people, I started interacting with the leaders, I started interacting with the employees of various organizations, I understood that there is really one thing that can help you come out of unwanted stress, and that is practice of spirituality. And that is why I have someone today who is a global leader. I have someone who is very close to my heart. I have someone whom I am interacting for almost the last 12 years. But on and off, while I was interacting with him, I have one thing which I have never come to know about him, that how he practices spirituality, how he understands that where is the sync between being a leader and inculcating spirituality at the same time. How he has inculcated and how he has downloaded spiritual practices to his people in his organization. Ladies and gentlemen, I am privileged, and we are all privileged, to have the Managing Director of Senco Gold and Diamonds, Mr. Suvankar Sen, with us. Suvankar, welcome to Tea Talkers podcast. It is always a privilege whenever I interacted with you the last few years. I have always found that you radiate a vibe that is very positive. And I'm confessing with you today that the moment I come out meeting you, I feel energetic. I don't know anybody has told you about this before or not, but this is a confession from me. But have you ever felt yourself to be managing this negativity around you? Or maybe how do you see these negative energies being managed by a leader like you? You are extremely busy. So how do you think you can manage this kind of positive energy around you? What are the tools and techniques?
Thank you, Souvik, for making me a part of this program. And I must confess from my side as well that when it's been almost 12 years that we've known each other, and I still remember the first few times that we met. I could see the enthusiasm that you had, the vision with which you wanted to do your work, coming out of the task and the job that you had to set up something on your own. And I think that it is only what drives people like you or me or similar people, is that eternal optimism, that vision, that hope, that positivity, that whatever is there that we want to do, the world kind of should enable us and work towards allowing us to do what we want. So, to answer your question, that all around the world, we first need to understand that certain basic concepts, the concepts of physics, concepts of metaphysics, concepts of who we are, spirituality, and everything. Once it gets connected, then you will be able to understand that how in various situations we need to think and we need to do. first of all, in a very scientific manner, we are all matter, right? And along with matter, what we see with our eyes and what we touch and what we kind of smell, everything, we say that it is all energy, correct? So you and me, we might be bodies as a body, but ultimately we are wavelengths, we are energy, we are vibrations. Whatever we are thinking, like we read all kinds of books, and the power of the subconscious mind. So in order to ensure that in this world of negativity, whatever we are reading, whatever we are seeing, that is happening in the external world. And how you would think and how you would behave and how you would act is your internal world. And you will see that whatever I am saying is not something that has not been discussed before. If you read Gita, if you read any of the holy books, if you read Bible, and if you try to decipher what all is written there, ultimately it is a lot to do about our inner being. So to simplify and answer your question, that in this world of so much negative thoughts and energy, what is it that I do is to keep myself positive. In all situations, it is up to us how we react to it, how we behave towards it, how we kind of, that is what maturity will lead us to. So yes, challenges will come, but you need to look at the positive side of the picture. And I think that is what will keep us going and help us to stay positive.
So with this, I would also like to take you to something little more scientific. In quantum physics, it says that everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, right? So this sofa, this microphone, the table, everything is vibrating. But since we are vibrating in a different frequency, we don't feel that these things are also vibrating, because our frequency is different from these. Same way, when you are meeting a lot of people, maybe in your team, your subordinates, or maybe your teammates, or maybe a partner of yours who's external person, you're meeting n number of people. They are also vibrating at a certain frequency. How can we create that shield? Because you can't avoid working, you can't avoid meeting these people. You have to anyways meet. But there should be a shield that can separate us from the negativities around.
Right. So here, one thing just to connect to what you said, that you will see that a lot of times we meet people and we feel very comfortable with them. We connect very fast, and become friends sooner, and we just connect. And there are some people with whom we meet, but we might not feel very comfortable. There is something which is making you not feel at ease, right? So this is where it is either the vibrations are matching or the vibrations are not matching, correct? And that person who you might be not feel comfortable with might feel comfortable with some other person and a group of people. So it is up to them that they are matching the vibration with some other group of people. So this is one aspect I think we always feel in our daily lives, and there are two ways to react to it. People who we are connecting with, we are vibrating with, it is very easy, and you feel comfortable, you feel happy, you enjoy interacting with the person, great. The people who you are not kind of vibrating enough similar manner, yes, to the extent that you need to be with the person to make sure that your work is done, I think we have to do it for the day-to-day work. And to the extent that you want to avoid the person, it's not anything personal, but you just don't feel comfortable. So to the extent that you need to meet, you meet. To the extent you don't need to meet, don't meet. And at the same time, as to, this is my thinking, that if you feel that the negative energy of the person is coming, so when we look at these sci-fi movies, or when we look at these Star Wars kind of movie, or Iron Man and all these kind of movies, you will see that there is a kind of, if an energy is coming from one individual towards you, how well and how internally you are strong to overpower that negative energy with your positive energy, correct? Now it sounds very, very metaphysical, right? But somewhere it works and it acts. If we feel fundamentally that we are energy beings and we are not, human beings. We are not called human doings. We are called human beings. So there is a being aspect to it. So with our internal strength, if we can emanate and kind of express our positivity and then maybe for all you know that negative energy of the person get transformed with your positivity, right? And you are a trainer, right? You are a trainer. You meet all kinds of people. Suppose someone is very depressed or demotivated or something. So at that state of mind, he is in a very negative energy level, negative vibration, and you can get influenced by him, and you can become a negative vibration person. But your task as a trainer is not to get influenced by him, but to pull him up and to say that, boss, you can do it. I can see it, that it is there in your potential. And then suddenly that person will become charged up. So I think that is your positivity that you can.
It's again science, positive. When we see a battery cell, we have a negative and a positive side of that cell, and that is also something called neutral. So we have studied that all the positive part extracts the negative part from there. The negativity is taken away by the positivity. So I think that's, as a leader, as a behavioral coach, we all have a similar task of extracting and absorbing the negativity of people and transforming that into something which is very positive. Right. So one thing I think we need to be extremely particular about, like as a leader, let's talk about your organization. You are growing on a 18-20% year-on-year growth. At the same time, if you see the market condition, the gold rates have gone very high. The sale is down. It's not a phase that we are celebrating every moment. It's a phase that we are actually keeping quiet, keeping little subtle, because we are expecting a positive days to come in. How are you motivating your people in this particular scenario?
Right. Now see here, again, there are 2-3 approaches here. One is that, yes, everything has a black and white. Now gold prices have gone up. This is just an example, since you spoke of gold prices going up and the markets being slow. But the good way to look at it is, here is a product, here is a commodity that has been increasing in price year after year. So I was telling my team members that you should not feel you should not become defensive that the gold prices are up. You should feel happy, and you should show your confidence to the customers that, look at this, madam, the gold prices are up 20% year after year. So this is a great product to own. It is a great investment. The stock markets are down for the time being, but if you look at the gold prices, it will go up. So it just proves the point that gold and silver and all these are great investments. It is not only an adornment. So why should someone not buy it, And so it is all about looking a situation. The situation is there, right? And either you be in the situation and you get, mired in the situation, or you go above the situation and you look at it in a very broad perspective and you look at the good side of it. The challenges are there. Yes, maybe there will be lesser quantity of gold that will get sold, but money will be spent. People will buy. So the solution in the high gold price is that let us create jewelry which is within lighter weight, which the consumer can buy. They will not be buying heavier quantities, but they will buy lighter quantities. So that is a solution to the problem. So the problem in our lives will come, but rather than spending energy and spending our thoughts and our time on discussing on the problem, let us all discuss on the solution. And I think if we spend 80-90% of the time on solution and how we can overcome, it is better for everyone rather than just discuss on the problem.
Fantastic. And just now you said that we are matter and we are also vibrating, and whatever we think, whatever we say as words, it vibrates around us. And it creates a similar vibration among the people around me. So I think whenever you say these words and you say it to your teammates, it automatically inculcates that motivation that what's the problem? Maybe the gold price is high, maybe the market is slow. But again, if my leader says that we should look it on a very optimistic manner, I think there is a fantastic days that are waiting in the future. So I think that is a fantastic combination of a leadership skill that you have always possessed. But is this the skill that you have always, you think that it's already there, or you have actually grown up, maybe after Sir passing away, or maybe it was a sudden handover of the entire responsibility to you because nobody expected those things to happen, Sir will leave us all alone, but it happened. But again, I think only your optimism has actually created the next part of the business, because you've got an IPO, and in fact we are all proud that a Bengali company from Kolkata is going an IPO and ringing the bell. That's something which is really a pride moment, and being associated so closely with you, it was like me achieving it, not just you, right? So how do you think that this transformation of the responsibility you have coped up? Is it only the spiritual part, or there is also a skill?
Right. No, I think, see, first of all, I'm very grateful to God for making me who I am, right? Because, leaders are born, leaders can be groomed also. We ourselves don't know what potential we have. So the first thing I think for anyone to really achieve their full potential is to realize within yourself that there is a lot that we can do for the world, do for people, do for everyone, right? So that realization is very important. If I look back and I look at my younger age, that how it has been, was I always like this? Maybe there was always this sense of responsibility that kept playing on my mind, as the elder child of the family. And from my seniors, I had always been told that, you are going to be the senior person, take over the business. We must all groom towards making you, towards carrying forward the legacy of 4 generations. So there was this sense of responsibility that always acted on my mind. And throughout my life, if I look back, I think it's very, very important, and I want to tell this to the next generation. I keep trying to tell this to my children, to everyone, that it's very important what we talk to ourselves, our internal conversations are very, very important. So I remember, I'll tell you a situation, and it's quite miraculous. When I went into class, it was, I think, in class 10 or class 11, and in that physics exam, I first, when I did the exam, I couldn't do well, right? I got pretty bad marks. And I was reading, and it was in the morning, and I was reading, going through the physics chapter. And then I was like, why can't I understand? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult? And I kept telling myself that I will understand, I can understand, and it was just a conversation within myself. And quite magically, I think that post that particular morning, I still remember, the whole concepts started becoming very clear to me. And if it was class 11, I ended up getting the physics award, getting the highest marks in physics. So then I realized that it is what you keep talking to yourself will make a lot of difference to how you want to act and do in your life. So these are all small events that builds on your self-realization.
Yourself is also a choice, that what content I'm talking, right? So if I'm talking about myself something about negative, ki mere saath kyun nahi ho raha hai, why is it not happening with me, then that's also have the same impact of negativity as well.
Correct. So then it's not just talking to yourself, but talking positive to yourself. Yeah, if you keep talking negative, you are getting into a quagmire, and you are getting into a vicious circle of negativity. So when you talk to yourself positive, even in a very difficult situation, it has to be that whatever is happening is for the good. And that is what, in various spiritual discussions, I'm a follower of the Brahma Kumaris. There is a gentleman called Mahatriya who also talks on spirituality and business. They all speak of this whole thing, that in all situations you have to talk and be positive. So that is very, very critical and very, very important, that as a leader you have to keep being positive. And in this whole, as you are leading the organization, when your people have targets to achieve, have situations to deal with, have tasks to be done, and you're always running against time, so that if they are at any point of time feeling demotivated or demoralized, through their positive messages and the optimistic approach, and they get boosted up. And if they start thinking, see, you and me, we can only do that much. We can only do that much, but with our thoughts, we can multiply our 24 hours into the number of people that we are dealing with. And if your thoughts can be vibrated and resonated amongst all your team members, then your task is quite done more easily.
When we talk about business, it's all about numbers. It's all about data. Spirituality is again very intangible. There is no data there. Actually, there are data, but we don't see it upfront. So it's a beautiful synchronization, when we think about a spiritual practice, thinking positive, practicing positive tasks and everything. At the same time, we have achievements, we have targets to be met. It's your company, it's my company, it's our baby. We know that what we need to achieve in the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. But when it comes to teammates, when it comes to people who are working with us, who are supporting us day in, day out for a collaborative growth, because when they grow, we grow with them. When we grow, they grow with us. Is there a disparity in the thoughts that as leaders, we are not able to inculcate in them? That I'll tell you from where I'm coming this. It is like target as a word is a very negative word for many people. When I take interviews, when I call people, they say that, sir, do I have targets? So the answer to this question is, you have targets here, you have targets in your own life as well. You have target in your family as well. But what do you mean by targets? Are we failing as leaders to make them understand that target is important and it is not something which is creating an akrasia or maybe something which is pulling us back, but it is something which it should be pushing us forward. So as leaders, not only just you and me, but for all the global leaders, is it important for us to make them understand that target is important?
Correct. Like, as you said that unless we have a target, unless we have a goal, unless we have an aim in life, we will be a ship just going here and there, and we don't know where to go and where to end. So there has to be a goal, there has to be a target, and growth is something that I think we all should always think of, right? Whatever we are today, and that growth need not be only growth of sales. It is an overall holistic growth. It is a growth of health, a growth of happiness, a growth of financial growth, a growth of intellectual development, spiritual growth, everything. If we are what we are today, maybe our aim and endeavor should be that 1 year from now, we should be at a better position. That is the will and the want that we all should have. Unfortunately, this, I would say, realization is not in most of the people. This realization is not taught in schools. This realization and this, approach towards life, which is not now even, discussed in a very scientific manner in say even within families also, right? Things are getting difficult. Schools are getting big, students are getting more in the classes, teachers are there, but 30-40 years before the quality of teachers and today, I think that we all need to be groomed and develop ourselves to be, the people to guide the next generation. So I think that is more important, that as a society, we are aware of the need for goals, the need for targets, and it is not that you will do it in a very non-peaceful manner. It is impossible to sustain and achieve towards your goal in a manner that will burn you out. You have to do it in a manner which is peaceful, which is happy, which is enjoyable. And then comes the aspect of what you are doing, you need to enjoy that, right? We all say that. And in our training, we say that if you're not doing your work which you are not, which you're not enjoying, then it is like a burden. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, then you can work 24 hours a day. It will not even look like work. So that itself is one of the blessing of God and a want of a human being to get into that part where you're working for fun and enjoyment, and your income is just a kind of a result of your effort that you're putting. It is not the end goal, but it is just like an outcome of your effort. But that is where the approach of achieving targets are kind of missed. And the second part is, to achieve a target, it is not the role of only one being, but it is the role of the whole team. And that is where you spoke of alignment. So the alignment is that to make your team members also feel that through the achievement of and growth of the company is his or her growth also. So that, how do you create situations, create compensations, create incentives that the growth of the company and the growth of the individual is aligned? I think that is most critical. where even like an alignment is a very important word. Alignment is where you as an individual are also aligned to where you want to be. Your alignment towards your values and your target and your goals should always be there. Focus and not get distracted. And similarly, get every team member behind you aligned in the same direction. And if that is done, it is easier said than done, right? It's very theoretically, but the effort has to be there. If everyone is aligned to the same direction, you will see that it's easier to achieve your growth and your target.
I think this point is very important when you say that if it doesn't work, then also it has a purpose. There is a reason that it's not working. Maybe it's not the right time. Again, time is very important, right? Now, when it comes to time, you have been my inspiration of managing time. You know how you manage time. I keep on telling my team, right? How do you think that this is very important for all of us to manage time, and how do you do that? Because you're so busy. I don't know how much time you sleep, how much time you take to work on yourself, and how much time you take to practice such spiritual things. I really want to go deeper and deep dive here to know Suvankar Sen.
No, I think that sleep is something that any human being. Again, I have realized one thing, that we all get energy from various actions. What might be applicable to me might not be applicable to someone else. So based on your the way you are built, some people get energy out of walking, some people might get energy out of swimming, some people might get energy out of sleeping. So for those people who gets energy out of sleep, I'm sure that person needs to sleep for 8 hours, 9 hours a day to get that energy, and for the remaining 16 hours will be full productive. But there are some people like me who might just need 5-6 hours of sleep, and we might get energy from walking, or we might get energy from being with people, or talking and interacting and thinking. So it's all very, very individual. One needs to understand. So first thing I request, and I want every individual to understand yourself, that what makes me who I am and how I should be. That is the first part I think we all should try to endeavor towards understanding. That is one. Second, to answer your question on the managing of time, and then I'll come to spirituality. Now, time management has to happen in multiple ways. One is that just like the way we do in school, where there are time slots for each and every subject, there has to be a time slot made for your day and your week and your month, where you know that, okay, I need to give this time for this department, this review, this, and then meeting with outside vendors, and then doing this task. And that is one part of it. When what you need to do. But the second part, where gradually you need to start applying, is prioritization. So, what is most important, or what is something that only you can do, you will have to do. But then over a period of time, as you are doing one task, you will see that it's becoming repetitive, and it's becoming similar in manner. And then as a leader, you have to say that, okay, for me this task is becoming repetitive, and I think it's now become process driven, so I can delegate this task to someone else as a junior, and give them a target of finishing it within a particular period of time. So I can take this time out from my schedule, and I can do something new which I can do, which someone else might not. So it's like a continuous analysis of your work, of your priorities, of the organizational priorities, and your commitments. Sometimes you have committed something. Maybe that task is not important, but it matters. It is, you have given a word, and then you need to allocate that much time. So this becomes your time that you give to work. Then there is a time that you need to allocate yourself for family, which could be out of 24 hours, and if you take away 6-7 hours of your sleep, you're left with 16 to 17 hours. Out of 16 to 17 hours, if you take away 8 to 9 hours, or even 9 to 10 hours of work, you're left with 6-7 hours. When you're left with 6-7 hours, and if you go deep into how you're spending the remaining 6-7 hours, you will see that you will spend 2 to 3 hours with your family, right? and then you are left with 4 hours. Then how you spend the time with 4 hours? Out of that 4 hours, maybe 1 hour you will spend time on self development, on reading a book, on listening to music, on how you want to keep your mind, your body calm, fit, exercise, all of that. And maybe half an hour you need to spend time with spirituality. Now, by this spirituality, it could be reading books on spirituality, it could be hearing podcast and videos and all on spirituality. It could be a state of non-doing, it could be a state of meditation, it could be a state of communication with God for 15 minutes. But that is also important. You will see, after all of this, you're still left with 1.5 hours, which you need to, whatever you think you want to do, you need to prioritize, socialize, give that time for social aspect. Monday to Friday is time for more of work, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the time that you give more for the social work, for society, for self-development. So I think that if we don't waste our time doing things that does not add value to our lives, right? Maybe entertaining ourselves, while I don't want to take away the credit of all the various content that is getting created or the entertainment that is happening, but we need to ask ourselves that, are we using the time that will add value to our life, that will add happiness to our life, growth to our life in the long run? Or are we becoming very short term and looking at the immediate pleasures and forgetting the longer benefit that we might get through other aspects, which is spiritual development, which is physical development, or family time that we give, I think, or the time you give to your children if you have them, to give them values in life. So that is, once you are very clear on what is what and what is important, I think that life will become that much easier. And another thing I try to practice is that you need to integrate everything, overlap. Nothing is very rigid, right? If you think you can, your 2 hours of 1 hour of sleep while traveling in the car or in the aeroplane is going to make up for your 1 hour of sleep at night, then sleep less at night and use the time of traveling for reading books or sleeping, rather than watching some movies which add no value to your life.
I think that defines your wisdom, the way you have explained this, traveling in the car and utilizing that time for your own benefit, or maybe resting in the car, and that actually re-energizes you for the next task that you are planning to do. So these aspects of segregating time to some time for self-development, some time for people development, some time for business, some time for work, I think these segregations of time is again a choice of life. And every time we choose something to do, we are again in a dilemma that whether this choice will be right for me. When it comes to growth and business, there were a lot of time you tried for IPO before you actually got, but you failed. There may be technical errors, there may be papers issues, there may be legal issues, whatever. How did you dealt on that particular things? Because it is not just you who's actually working on getting that particular recognition, but also the entire team of yours. So when you fail, the entire team goes demotivated. They get demoralized. They feel that all this hard work, labor has gone for a waste. How do you think you have dealt with that through your way of interactions, your way of looking at life, your way of driving the business at a point when you did not have your father guiding you? Physically, of course.
So, right. No, though, so that's very important what you said, that the spiritual connection with my father is very, very important, because when you know that you have the blessing of your ancestors, of your father, who is physically present for sure, and even if he or she is not physically present, it gives you a lot of mental strength. So, but when things don't happen, smoothly and as per plans, we need to look at the situation again. And this is what is, I am glad that we are talking about it, is where spirituality has a big role to play. And what we discussed before also, that there is a story that I read, that a person who works जे लोहार जो बोलते हैं, people who go and hammer the iron, and they can keep on hammering with all their strength. But when the iron is at the right temperature and in the right situation, only if then you hammer, the result will happen. So patience and is very important, and the right time is very important. So we need to be spiritually strong enough to believe that maybe this is not the right time, maybe the right time will come. So at one end you have to stay motivated. Chalo, theek hai. Hua nahi, maybe this is not the right time. Maybe markets are not right. Maybe this God is thinking this is not, we are not ready yet. Maybe we need to prepare ourselves more. Maybe it is giving us more time to build our team so that when we are ready more to face what is going to happen, that is the time it will happen. So it's all how you look at the situation and look at it positively. So this is number one. Second is to make the team motivated. I think very important for leaders is to be communicative. Whatever we are thinking in our minds, through our speaking and through our actions and through our messages and emails, we need to keep our team motivated. And I think a very important part of a leader, for any leader at whichever level, is that your followers are always looking up at you. If the captain of the team suddenly gives up and is having a negative body language, then automatically the team gets demotivated. But if the captain of the team is always like positive and thinking that don't worry, oh theek hai, ho jayega, we will do it, and maybe, so they are looking up. And the moment you as the captain of the team are showing that positive body language, the positive thoughts, I think automatically the team will also kind of feel better and say that fine, if the captain is doing fine and thinking like this, we will follow the captain. So I think that is very important, where we communicate not only through our words but through our actions, through our everything. And yes, when these challenges and the hindrances kept happening, I read this book in a very young age. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. It speaks of this story in which there was a man who kept digging the soil, looking for gold, and he kept digging, and only when he was just 3 feet away from getting that gold, that man gave up, right? But then there was another person who kept digging and kept getting tired and not getting it, but kept on, and then one fine day he was like, maybe it will not happen, and he goes that little 3 feet deeper, and he gets the gold. So I think very important is lage raho munna bhai kind of a thing. You have to go on and on. You have to feel that maybe that point it's not happening, but we will not give up. We will believe, we will have the faith that it will happen. And that inner faith, inner conviction, inner strength, or whatever you call it. And I think that if once you get it and then it happens, then it's a miracle.
I want to squeeze you out on few with the last question. This will be a little personal, but I think I would love to know about you on this. So you have been into this family business from your post-graduation, right? And you have taken up the entire ship, after Sir passed away. So when you had taken up this business, Suvankar these days, in between this, how do you see yourself during the childhood? Because maybe you have not told me, but I have come to know about you from various people, that you have got a shade where you can't see poverty. You can't see people, suffering. And whenever they came up for help to you, you have gone to that limit till the time you can help that person. How do you balance this with the kind of data, numbers, growth, and at the same time, when a person comes up to you, cries in front of you that I need help from you, you have not given a second thought to help that person. how do you manage this kind of a human being inside you?
So when it comes to work, then it is about the productivity, it is about the intent, it is about the hard work, it is about the effort that a person is putting towards achieving the result. It is result, again, as we know, that is not in yours and my hand, but what is in the hand of the employee is the effort and the hard work and the commitment and the passion and the energy that the person is putting towards work. So that is the approach and philosophy and thinking of a businessman towards getting a work done. But as far as helping people is done, I think that if we need to be happy in our lives, we need to see people around us happy. Because if people around us are not happy and we feel that we will be happy, somehow the sadness of the people will always impact you towards not achieving your fulfilled happiness. That is one way to look at it. And again, I'm grateful and thankful to God for making me who I am. But here again is a very interesting thing I want to tell you. And maybe while you were asking me the question, it just came on me, on my thought. How I realized is my grandfather, both of my grandfathers, from my father's side and my mother's side, both of them were of a nature which is very similar, which is of very caring about others, helpful about others. If I talk of my father's father, when after partition he had to struggle, he had to start life at the age of 40, setting up the shop after the breakup within the family at the age of 40, and set the whole business up. There were people who came from the other side, from Bangladesh to India, and they were asking for jobs and asking for help, and he was always ready to help and give opportunity to those people. That is the helpful behavior of my grandfather from my father's side. If I talk of my grandfather from my mother's side, he was a leader of the Communist Party in his time. And what I hear of him, I've never seen him because he died at a very young age when my mother was only 2 or 3 years old, that he used to spend all his time on the streets of Calcutta, helping the poor, giving off clothes, help with food and everything. He did not give any time to his family as such, but he was busy and always doing social work for the needy. And I think that we all know, and if you read the book 100 Years of Solitude, you will see that the actions of our ancestors and the karma of our ancestors, they keep flowing into the generation and generation, and there is a cycle and a recycle where similar patterns gets replicated in each and every generation. And with that thought and with that realization, I think that this helping others comes from me. Maybe it is in my DNA. And I feel that if God has given me the purpose and given me the role and responsibility of running a business and growing a business and helping the customers to fulfill their needs, employing so many people to give them a purpose in life, to give them employment, and also to help the society. So I am working not only for myself, but I'm working for everyone. And in that working for everyone, if I can help some people if they are in need, it is also a role and a work of God that I am doing through my work. So I think that's the way to look at it. And if I can do it, I think it's a blessing of God and blessing for everyone.
A wonderful thought. And I think you have actually enriched all of us today. One is you have taken out time to come out in the podcast, and actually I wanted to bring you and feature you in this podcast for 2 reasons. One is people want to know about you. They want to know about the journey. Though we have not talked about more about your personal journey here, which we'll keep it for our next episode. I've purposefully kept it aside because I want to again. And the second is there are a lot of times when I have interacted with you and I have found that vibe which needs to be populated to other people. And this was the best platform I have ever thought that I can bring up so that I can listen to you and I can also make you, talk to a lot of people around who are actually watching us on various platforms right now. It is a privilege to find you in Tea Talkers podcast, and trust me, every time I talk to you, I've confessed in the beginning, I'm confessing it right now, I'm feeling energetic, I'm feeling so positive, and I'm feeling that there is nothing in this world that can stop us. If we have the willpower, if we'll have the right choices placed, and of course, if we have that, that attitude of gratitude, I think there is nothing. There may be, temporary things pushing us back, trying to stop us, but that's the way of life. And I think if we have that driving force of gratitude, positivity, spirituality, I think there is a long way to go for all of us. From all of us, thank you so much for coming. It is a pleasure always to talk to you, and I would love to find you again. I will not call you recent times, but maybe in some time I'll call you back, and that will not be a request to you. That will what I demand, that you have to come for Tea Talkers podcast. Okay, thank you so much. That was Suvankar Sen, and we have found him as a different human being today. I have found him as a different human being, because all these years, whenever we interacted, we talked about work, we talked about a lot of things that we can create and increase the wisdom level, the intelligence level of people. But today I have found him as a different person, as a person who always thinks about great things of life, who has chosen not to think about the negative things. And this choice, this art of choosing things, is phenomenal. And I think he has a long way to go, because he is carrying a DNA that is very positive. He has found his ancestors making him what he is today. His immense belief in God has made him what he is today. And more than anything, he himself as a human being has created magic in other people's life. That is Suvankar Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, keep watching the podcast, and we will come back with a lot more concepts, ideas, and wisdom sharing thoughts from various people in the upcoming episodes. Thank you for watching. That's all for today. Take care. Bye-bye.